Hello, folks. You are tuned into another episode of Listen in 3D. This is episode number 76. I'm your boy Justin, aka Too Tall for You Fool.
And I'm Ray, aka Vandal Society.
And together we're both Team 3D, the hosts of Listen in 3D, where we discuss, dissect, and debate the music and the albums in the world of hip hop and other genres. Like what you're seeing, like this video, comment, share it around, and most importantly, subscribe. Want to help us out one step further? When you do subscribe, click on that notification bell. That way, you know when all our videos and shorts go live. And also, just be sure to subscribe to our Instagram. Got a lot of good stuff going on Instagram, Reels. The whole shebang. So anyway, I'm joined by another co-host that I was able to lock down. Ray, Vandal Society. Introduce yourself, my guy.
Hey man, hey, thanks for extending the invite. I know it's been a while when we actually first talked about getting on here,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I'm glad to finally be on, and I'm happy to do the album that we're about to cover. Um, so I've been into hip hop since as long as I can remember, the early '90s, I would say. I first got into it when I seen the music video for "Freaks Come Out at Night" from Houdini, and ever since then I was drawn into it. They had some b boys on their music video, and that kind of just like caught my attention as well. And then shortly after that, I got into Crisscross. But then when Death Row came out, Dr. Dre's Chronic came out. Ever since then, I was just like locked into the whole West Coast, the whole West Coast G Funk sound.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I
Awesome.
just been a fan. Yeah, I've been a fan since then, and then into the late '90s, early 2000s, I got into more underground hip hop, and then I start getting catching more of an interest in East Coast hip hop, and I just kept it, all around since then.
Yeah. One of the things I like about this genre is that it has a lot of subgenres. Whether you
Yeah,
want to go back to the '80s,
that's
the
true.
boom bap, East Coast sound, the West Coast G funk sound, the
Yeah,
South sound. It has a lot of great subgenres. So
definitely.
there's a lot of tasting for a lot for all fans out there. There's maybe something you like over this way, maybe something you don't like over there, not so much. But I feel like you can go in a
True.
whole lot of directions, with this art. So,
Yeah.
great to have you, Ray. It's
Thank
been
you.
I know we've talked about it for a minute.
Yeah.
So I mean, glad to have you on. So,
Thank you, man.
with this album, I gotta ask, were were you blown away when you first heard it, or did you like run to the store to get it when you first heard it, or like I just want to know real quick before we get into the album that we're talking about. I'm
Yeah. So
curious.
yeah, like a lot of East Coast albums, during the time, Juicy
Mm,
from Notorious B.I.G. was the first album or song that I recall really getting into
mm,
and understanding that Biggie was from New York. And I was
yeah.
like in fifth grade because I picked up the single on cassette for
Mm,
Juicy.
okay.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, so since then that's pretty much all I knew. And then like '96, I started hearing other East Coast albums from Mobb Deep, but I didn't really fully get into Jay Z's Reasonable Doubt until I would say high school, maybe 10th grade.
Okay.
So about 2000.
All right. So you
And
did listen to it when it first came out.
yeah, mainly because of the single
Mm,
that was out on the album was featured on the Nutty Professor soundtrack.
yeah. We'll,
So
we'll get into that. So let's lay out the album we're doing.
okay, so the album is Reasonable Doubt from Jay Z. The release date was June 25th, 1996, through Rockefeller Records, distributed by Priority Records. It was Jay Z's debut album. It was certified platinum, peaked at number three on the top R&B and hip hop albums, and number 23 on Billboard 200. The singles are "Ain't No Playa," "Can't Knock the Hustle," "Feeling It." The music videos were "Ain't No Playa" and "Can't Knock the Hustle" and "Feeling It" as well. Um, Dead Presidents, but there's a OG version, which is the Dead Presidents one, was another music video, but um, that's also kind of goes hand in hand with what's on this album, part two. Same beat, just different lyrics. The guest appearances are Memphis Bleak, Mary J. Blige, Jazzo, which was Jay Z's mentor before Reasonable Doubt, uh, Notorious B.I.G., Mecca, Foxy Brown, and Sauce Money.
All right, thank you for that, Ray. Appreciate it. All right, so Jay Z, we talked about him before. We did him on episode. Let me find the episode. I know it was the Black Album. I know that much. Yeah, episode 39, the Black Album. So we put that out like midway through last year. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll link it in the description. Jay Z, he's done it all, and definitely he's crawled his way up, and I really like his story. Just how just
Yeah, hustle
being
mentality.
on those records with Jazzo to
Yeah,
just to how this album came, and just how pretty much the rest of his career has set sailed, and now he's doing big things. He's in charge of the Super Bowl halftime show. It doesn't get any bigger than that, man. So
yeah, that's true.
yeah, and then oh yeah, another album we did of his. So it was actually the Carter's album, and
Oh,
that
okay.
was episode, if I can find it, Carter's episode 60. So
Oh,
yeah, so if you want to check those two out, I'll link them both in the description. So Reasonable Doubt. I'll get into album memories of this. Um, yeah, pretty much. I didn't really listen to the album growing up, so I guess I can just tell you just my memories of Jay Z. One of the singles we will talk about was the first single I've heard from him when I guess when he first was being played on the West Coast, and then just over the years, like volumes one, volume two, I've heard definitely his good singles from you know, that city song, and then I know there was another Sunshine, was another good
oh
song of
yeah,
his. Those were on some of his later albums. Who You
yeah,
With, which I believe was on the Sprung soundtrack, I believe. Those were some good albums I heard, good songs I've heard from him over the years. And for the most part, I mean, it seems like anything the guy got his hand on in terms of songs was just always good for me. So
yeah,
I never seen him live, live in person. I'm sure
yeah,
I've seen some of his concerts like on TV or whatever, but yeah, I've never seen him live. And otherwise, just when we reviewed the Black Album last year, I was very impressed. And you know, if I see it for the right price, I may get that on vinyl. But I would like to listen to more of his discography. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I haven't listened to too many of his full albums. Really, I just know a lot of his singles. So, and
yeah,
with doing a show like this, being able to listen to Reasonable Doubt, just doing listening and reading in general, gives me the opportunity to listen to albums I haven't heard before. So, always good to listen to stuff that I haven't heard and critique it, and just give my 2 cents on it, and it still just makes me a student of the game.
yeah,
It's hard to
definitely.
hear everything. I only have 2 ears.
Yeah, and what you said earlier about until you didn't really hear much of Jay Z's music until we started hearing it on the West Coast, and
Yeah.
that just made me think back to
Mm,
um, that statement that you said, and it's true. Actually, when I first heard Jay Z, it was from the song "Ain't No Playa,"
mm,
but I kind of just passed it off at that time. I didn't
yeah.
really dig into it. I really started listening to him when "Hard Knock Life" came out on Volume Two. That
Volume
was like the
two, I
single.
would say that was his first commercial success in terms of
Yeah,
making it
definitely.
big, because that album won like 6 times platinum. Yeah, Volume Two was that was a
Yeah,
big one.
yeah, that song, and then the one he did with Jermaine Dupri, that single.
Oh yeah, ain't
What was it?
oh cat no it's in my
Money
head.
Ain't a Thing.
Yeah, Money Ain't a
That's
Thing.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that was another single that took me in.
Mm,
And then once I started getting into that album, I started backpedaling to his earlier albums. That's when I came across Reasonable Doubt. And yeah, at the time, so in high school, my mom gave me her car and it only
mm.
had a cassette player.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's why I picked up the cassette of this Reasonable Doubt just to play it in the car, and I just kept it since then.
Mm,
Um, and it still works good. I hardly ever play it because it's a cassette. I have a boombox for it, but I hardly listen to it much. And
Yeah,
then on vinyl, I just have the single for "Can't Knock the Hustle." Bought this a few years back at Amoeba in Hollywood.
right
So
on. Cool,
this
cool.
one's cool. Yeah. So,
All right,
but
all
yeah, it
right, right
just
on.
reminded me of like how we didn't really hear much of Jay Z until some of his later singles on Volume Two.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really hear him a whole lot on West Coast radio, whether it be Power 106, 92.3. Didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the radio stations were biased during that time, and yeah,
Definitely.
knowing and like I've told, I believe I told Gabriel this, and maybe Netta as well. Just I'll say it again if for those that haven't heard it, I didn't really get the have the liberty of watching MTV all that much or BET, so pretty
Oh,
much
okay.
like
Yeah.
the only way I could hear this stuff was pretty much on the radio, and then if I got lucky, just like later in my teen years, obviously I got to watch it, but like early on, like
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah, later in the teen years, man, there was quite a few that I liked, like the Basement
Mm,
on BET was pretty dope. Rap City, the
yeah.
Basement, yeah, that was like one of my favorites because he always had someone come in and freestyle in his booth, and it
Mm.
was just always fun to watch. So
All
yeah,
right. All right. Okay. So, thank you for the album memories. All right. So let's go on to the out art. I was going to say, yeah, art artwork. Excuse me. So I do. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the black and white or black and white videos for that matter. I think I've told all my co-hosts that at one point or another, but it does remind me of one of the videos we will talk about. But overall, it just reminds me of like kind of an old movie. Him, I mean, for his debut, I mean, I wish I could see his face a little more. Like you don't even see his eyes, like just him going down like this. Like
yeah.
yeah,
I think
so
that's I think that picture just adds a little more mystery to it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I do like the album cover art. I
Hmm.
think it coincides with a lot of the songs on the album. During that time, Jay Z was going for more of a mafioso approach
Yeah.
with it. A lot of the songs highlight references to Scarface,
Yeah.
and a lot of the tracks on this album are influenced by at the time the movie Dead Presidents.
Hmm.
You know, a couple of the songs were sampled from songs off that soundtrack of Dead Presidents.
Yeah.
From Isaac Hayes, and
Hmm.
you know, so I think to me it's fitting. I like the black and white. As a photographer too, I always appreciated the black and white photos, and yeah, I just like his whole outfit,
Yeah. His
the
outfit's
hat.
nice.
Yeah, I mean he kind of just established himself as like a serious artist, like a
Mm,
someone that was serious in the music and just kind of mature at the time on that album cover.
yeah.
Like so I like the album cover art.
Yeah, it's pretty good for the most part. Like I said, I just wish we would have seen more of his face for it being his debut. Like it would be
Yeah,
one thing if it was like his fourth album, or just like oh, we already know what he looks like. But just you going
yeah,
into the record store during that time in '96, it's just like, okay, who's this guy? Especially if it's in
yeah,
a market where it's like you're not hearing him on the radio much.
yeah.
But I mean that's
Like
just my opinions behind it. But no, otherwise, it was pretty nice for the most part.
yeah, you do see more of his face when you flip the CD over. He's on the
Yeah,
back part of it. You'll see like
yeah,
more
yeah.
of
I mean,
from his waist up. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah. There's always goodies in those album booklets.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are pretty nice to look at back then.
Yeah, yeah. Wish we get more of that today. All
Yeah.
right, so let's get into production. The beats. What beat were you feeling the most on here, or beats, if you can't
Ooh,
decide on one?
yeah. That's a hard one, man, because this is that album where I can go from like beginning
Hmm.
to the end, almost the end. I would say almost the end because there is a least favorite beat, and it's at the very end that I
Okay.
don't really listen to.
Hmm.
But my best beats, I would say, "Can't Knock the Hustle." I love the production on that.
Hmm.
Um, "Politics as Usual." Dead Presidents, Feeling It,
Mm.
The Evils, Can I Live, um, Coming of Age, Bring It On. Those are like my favorite tracks right there
Okay.
because of the beat.
Yeah, yeah, I would have to say I definitely like the Dead President's beat. I thought that was a really good one. And then
Yeah,
Ain't No Playa also, was I mean, not my favorite song, spoiler alert, but it was a pretty good beat for the most part. I like how it sampled that 7 minutes of funk by the whole darn
yeah,
family. That's a very, very good track. I don't
yeah,
think,
right there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that one right there. That's a pretty good sample too.
yeah,
So
a
I
pretty
have
famous
that.
sample, pretty famous.
Yeah. So I a little story on that. I
Mm,
took that same song, the 7 minutes of funk,
mm,
and I threw it on my turntable and I put it into the MPC and I tried to recreate the same chops and drum and sample pattern to make
mm,
that same beat, and it came out pretty accurate. And I just added my own drums over it, so it was sort of like a
mm.
little remix of it. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, the sample was pretty nice on it. It was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that song has been sampled so many times. Jay-Z
yeah.
sampled it, EPMD, even one of my personal favorites, Drew Down, back of the year. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think he
That was
did it
one of my favorites too.
I think he did it the best, at least that beat anyway. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's been sampled so many times, even as recently as Busta Rhymes did a sample of it recently, like 2 years ago now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's just yeah, it's been sampled so many times. Great, great beat discussion. We definitely do gotta find an episode where we talk about samples in hip hop, but
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a good one right there because I have quite a few albums with that were sampled
yeah,
um for certain classic albums out there, classic
yeah, yeah,
songs.
but yeah, for me, it's a toss up between Dead Presidents 2 and yeah, definitely Ain't No Player. So yeah, those were my two favorites. All right,
Yeah.
so let's get into album singles. Let's see. I guess we can go with the first track, "Can't Knock the Hustle."
Okay.
I'll let you take this one. You can go first. Your thoughts on the song?
Um, I loved it. I mean, it was just the feel for it was kind of just establishing his presence in the game. I mean, he already did quite a few underground songs and more of his earlier stuff with jazz,
Hmm.
but his rap during that time with jazz was more like a real fast, you know, like nonstop flow to it.
Hmm.
But this one, you could tell he just really matured with his rap songs and his penmanship, and he just put out, I feel like his one of his best songs first on that album, just to kind of establish some ground and and pretty much letting the world know who he is and that he's here now.
Yeah, for me, listening to this song and watching the music video, I think it's a great song. I think it was a magnificent way to kick off the album.
Yeah,
His lyrics, all three verses I feel were, fire. Mary J. Blige killed it on the chorus,
yeah,
for the most part. And then in terms of like, the music video, I think it, just reflects, like you said, the reference to like, Scarface movies, the mafia
yeah.
life. I thought that was kind of pretty crazy, especially at the beginning when those ladies were capping at him
Oh
from that
yeah,
Mercedes, and then
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
there's a little, yeah, there's some influence in a few mob movies, like the Goodfellas. There was a little influence with that too in that music video.
yeah, yeah, and then I also feel like with the black and white and album cover kind of reflects, what he was doing in that music video as well.
Yeah,
So I think it was a great way to kick off the album, in
yeah,
terms of
definitely.
that, that song.
Yeah, dude, just pretty much talking about the whole hustler lifestyle because he
Mm,
came from selling drugs on the streets. So he's rapping about his experiences from birth all the way up until his age. I believe when he dropped that album, I think he was like 28 at the time,
yeah,
and that's pretty late in as as far as rap in the rap game for an
mm,
artist to release an album that late in their 20s.
yeah,
Even though it's not old, it's just not considered like the usual. age where an artist
like 20,
released.
21, and
Yeah, like the
yeah,
early
I think
20s.
that gets into the discussion of, do you want to be a 40-year-old rapper? And it's just like, since
Yeah,
when did this become a sport? I mean, I know some
yeah,
people like consider it a sport. I mean, it's music. I feel like it's art.
right.
It's not a sport. There's no retirement in this. I mean,
That's true.
if rock bands can still perform many years after their debut albums, why not rappers?
Yeah,
That's the
true.
way I look at it. So I think those people, I think it's never too late to get into the game. But I will say, it's a young man's game, but there's no expiration date on when you can stop doing it.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So anyway, let's move on to feeling it. And I was feeling the song for the most part. I thought it was a pretty good song.
yeah,
Just a great beat. Talking about just talking about the sky. And the chorus I like too. I'm feeling it, feel the glass to the top of Moet. Feeling it,
yeah.
feel the legs pushing up the
It
set. So I thought it was pretty good.
yeah, it sounds like something you just want to be a part of. Like at least for me, like one of the reasons why I like Reasonable Doubt is like
Mm,
it kind of motivates me
okay.
in a like a financial way. You know what I mean? To better yourself and to make more and live more comfortably.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the songs on there kind of reflect that. They
Yeah,
kind of
I could definitely see that, and I think that's why a lot of people love this album, just it,
yeah,
more motivation factor, and it, just after listening to it, I could just feel his hunger back then, he
yeah,
was he was trying to,
definitely.
yeah, he was definitely trying to get at it.
Yeah, and that's why I think too why a lot of people
Mm,
like Reasonable Doubt the most out of his discography because he was like the most rawest in his lyrics.
mm,
The beats were on point. The production was just there. You know, every track was hitting. A
yeah,
lot of heavy soul based samples were used.
yep.
You
All
know,
right,
it was just a good one.
all right, cool. But yeah, that's a feeling. It was a very good song. And then anything else you want to say on feeling it, or you ready to go on to the next single?
Yeah, we can go on to the next single
All
because
right,
I know.
ain't no player.
Oh yeah, that one right there too.
Yeah,
That one was a good one. I did like the music video to that one.
yeah, but it
But
was it was a it was a pretty good music video. And then yeah, actually, I feel like both those songs, feeling it and ain't no player. Yeah, they were kind of one and the same video. Just
probably both shot in Miami,
yeah, both shot in
obviously.
Miami.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
but ain't no player. I mean, this, like I said at the top of the episode, this is the first song I ever heard from Jay Z, and
yeah,
I, like you, I kind of was just like, whatever. I didn't feel like it was his best work in terms of on the album, or even just like with Foxy Brown. I personally liked the song "I'll Be," which was off her debut album. I thought that was a better song than this one,
yeah. That one
especially
was
from her.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but I mean, it was a good song. Like I said, the beat was really good. With that 7 minutes of funk sample, and then just I feel the song just talked about the pimp life, and you know
yeah. You know what? You know what I learned? You know how old Foxy Brown was for Ain't No when she wrote that?
she had to be like 18, 19, really,
So
really young.
what
She
I
was really young.
yeah, I found out she was 15
She was
during that
15.
time.
Are you
Yeah,
serious? Damn.
yeah. Yeah, see, and they talk about that. This right here,
Mhm.
they break they break down every single song of that album
Oh,
for
nice.
Reasonable Doubt. He sits with the producers, and that's what he was saying that at that time she was 15 when she wrote it, and I was surprised because her verse in that song was pretty. You know, it was there were some lines in there where it should have been said by an adult. You know, like
Yeah.
there was a few bars where
Yeah, and
it
I
was
knew I knew she was
pretty
pretty young
mature.
when she came into the game, but I didn't know she was that young. That's
Yeah,
that's that's
that's what.
crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. That tripped me out when I heard that.
Yeah, yeah, actually, it kind of does make sense now, because yeah, she came into the game way early, but I mean,
Yeah,
she didn't look like a teen to me or anything. I
yeah,
mean, I could be,
exactly. That's why I was tripping out. Like, what? Yeah, I didn't believe that, but it's crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but
that was a good single right there too. I liked it.
yeah, like I said, good single. But I mean, once I heard "I'll Be," which was on her
Yeah,
album, I thought that was a much better song, in my opinion. That's just me, at least between the
yeah,
two of them.
yeah. See, right there too. Like LB, I feel like she was coming at it more like, okay, this is on my album now. Let me
Yeah,
show the world what I'm coming with.
yeah, I
And yeah,
think,
she put
yeah,
more of her effort in that in LB.
yeah. I think she put, yeah. I feel like she put more of her effort in there, and then, um, I think the verse was just better too in terms of, yeah, her verses were better in that compared to what she did on that. I feel like her verse in "Ain't No Player" was just really, really long. They gave her a lot of bars there, so
Yeah, in a way, it was more like a competitive,
mm,
friendly competitive rivalry. Like they were kind of like friendly battle between each other, between like lyrics. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they kept it cool, but she was kind of just like trying to, establish herself too as a rapper and trying to be taken seriously. So she was trying
yeah,
to write some heavy bars, but yeah, it was a
yeah,
good one. It
yeah.
was cool.
She definitely impressed on that song. I mean, that's for sure. But but I mean, like I said, when Al B came, I was just like, okay, this is
Yeah,
yeah, this is a lot better. But I mean, great. I mean, it was a great effort, and like I said, first single I heard from Jay Z, and it makes sense because it was on the Nutty Professor soundtrack. So,
yeah.
all right. So enough with the singles. So we go into our favorites. So what three picks are you making, if you can even make three picks? Cause
Man, yeah, I would say Feeling It has to be
feeling
my
it.
favorite. Yeah,
Okay.
The Evils. I like The Evils a lot. That
The
was produced by
Evils.
DJ Premier. Yeah. I like how he just story tells about like having,
Mm,
a good friend that I used to be close with and, and then they ended up parting ways due to like the whole drug game
mm,
and just pretty much going through that whole motions of that street life, how
yeah.
sometimes money will put a wedge in between friendships, and that's what he talks about in that song. And I like, just the lyrics, the beat to that.
Okay.
And another one, I'd say "Can I Live."
Can I live? Can I live
Yeah, that was
was a good track.
yeah, that one right there,
Mm.
produced by DJ Irv Gotti.
Irv Gotti,
Rest in
man, rest in
peace.
peace. Yeah, we
Yeah,
recently lost Irv Gotti.
yeah, that one right there. He sampled "The Look of Love" from Isaac Hayes, and that one was just
Yeah.
clean right there.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right, my three. It was kind of tough, but regrets. I mean, I know you didn't like the beat for that song too much,
no
but
regrets. I did, but there's a
oh,
track after regrets
oh,
where
oh, Can I Live Too? Oh, I just
Can I
went with
Live too.
the
That's the one. Yeah, that's my
yeah,
least
that was
favorite.
kind of
Yeah. To tell you
okay.
the truth, man, I skip that. I don't even go to that track most of
Yeah,
the time.
well, when doing research for this album, I believe that was like a extra track later on, but so I just went
Yeah,
with the original 14 tracks that were
for sure. Yeah.
on the album. We can talk about that when we get to the album cuts and expansions. But okay, so yeah, I thought that was the track you were talking about. No, yeah. So
Oh no,
regrets.
regrets. I like that one.
Yeah, yeah. That's a nice beat. I love that piano beat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was definitely one of my favorites when it comes to that. And then just talking about the chorus. This is the number one rule you're set in order to survive. Gotta learn to
gotta
live with
learn to live with
regrets.
regrets.
On the
Yeah,
rise to the top, many don't forget. In order to survive, gotta live with regrets. So I mean, it's just saying, just tells me, hey, you can live. I do my best not to try to have any regrets. I'm sure everyone has a few. I just like to rephrase it as I would have just done something differently, but I guess at the end of the day, it could be a regret. So I thought that song, really, touched me a lot. Um, Other one I had to go with, which one should I say for last? Dead Presidents 2, I thought was a really good song. I think it's, in my opinion, definitely one of the best songs on the album, not even from a favorite standpoint, just in general. I
that one.
just,
Yeah, that one's a classic right
yeah,
there.
it's a very, very classic song. So I like you know, I'm out for presidents to represent me, get money,
Oh,
that Nas sample.
the Nas sample. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought
that
that
one
was
was
pretty
so good.
cool. And then,
Yeah,
his bars on here were just straight fire, you
yeah.
know. Yeah, so I thought that was a really good song. And then the last song I had to go with, you probably see it coming knowing me, but I love it when a hip hop artist represents where they're from, and I'm just trying to figure out, like after listening to the song, why was this not a single? Brooklyn's finest, man.
I was gonna say, I was like, what did you think? What do you think about Brooklyn's Finest? I didn't think we were gonna talk about that. Like,
No, no,
yeah,
bro, man. Yeah. Of course, we're gonna talk about Brooklyn's finest.
yeah,
Oh my God,
that
that
was,
that that song,
yeah.
that
I
song's
like
fun.
the,
Why wasn't this a single, man? I feel like, I mean, I know numbers ain't everything, but I feel like this would have did pretty well in the West, maybe, but I don't
yeah.
know. But
At
Jigga and
least the,
Bigga, you know,
at least the B side, at least make it a B side on the single, but yeah, it didn't get the attention that it should have,
yeah,
for
definitely
that
should
one.
have been a single.
Yeah,
Definitely should have been a single. That song was cool. But I mean,
yeah,
Biggie, he was in the Dead Presidents video, so I know there were quite a bit of cameos in that
yeah.
video. But
Biggie came up in Dead Presidents, and he
mm,
was in the Ain't No,
yeah, he had a little short
yeah,
cameo and
little
ain't no
cameo.
ain't no
Yeah,
player. But yeah, that song was really cool too. And then I will say, I believe he did take some shots at Tupac in this song, but I mean,
yeah. If they had twins, she'll probably have two Pacs, and then he's like, "Get it, two Pacs." Yeah, that was a nice shot at
it
Pac right
was
there. Yeah,
yeah, that was yeah, he did take some shots there, but I mean, um, it was just a great duet between two of the East Coast finest during that time, man. It's just like I just guys like me and just anyone who pretty much only had access to the radio. I feel more people definitely should have heard it. But I mean, especially with streaming services today, though, it's pretty possible too. I mean, you can pretty much listen to any song you want that you can think
yeah.
of. But yeah, definitely a great song between two of Brooklyn's finest.
So, in your opinion, do you feel like
Mm.
that was also like a little friendly battle between each other? Because they
Between the
always said Jay Z was trying to become the king of New York at that time, or trying to come up.
yeah,
Um,
I believe it was.
do you think they were and Jay Z was really trying to put his best out there because he knew Biggie was already, Big at the time was on top over there.
Yeah, I I I
So
I think it was more than just a duet. It was a battle.
yeah,
It was
like a
on the
little
same
friendly
song, but
battle.
it was a
Yeah,
battle.
yeah, yeah. I like the way they traded off, verses. That they did like 5 bars and then they would switch over to the other artist Jay Z, and then Big went back on after 5 bars, and
Yeah,
it was pretty nice.
yeah. That's definitely a great song. Should have been a single. Should have had a music video behind it. But hey, it's a classic, and you can't. Yeah, it's like I said, between like two of the best songs on this album. It has to be between Brooklyn's Finest and Dead Presidents. But there are a lot of other great tracks on here too that people can get down to. So, uh, but yeah. Thanks for your input on your favorite three tracks from this album. Uh, so so getting into album cuts and expansions. We talked about the Dead Presidents OG version. Had a music
Right.
video. It was technically the first single, but then he went with Dead Presidents too.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. I mean, it's the video's on YouTube if you guys want to check it out. And then he had a limited edition and digital bonus tracks, and that included, if I can get here, yeah, that included "Can't Knock the Hustle," "Fool's Paradise" with the remix with Melissa Morgan. I think that's the one you were talking about. No, not that one. You're talking about
No,
"Can I Live
the
Too?"
Can I Live Too? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a digital um, limited edition of that remix, "Can't Knock the Hustle" remix, and then "Dead or Alive" Part One with Sauce Money. And then there's a reissue bonus track. So I guess when they reissued this album, they gave it a bonus track, and that was where we got "Can I Live Too," which you're right. That probably is one of the worst beats on that album. But I mean,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
probably
I
should
don't
have
know
just
if I
left
was.
it off if you ask me.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of it.
so so those are the album cuts and expansions. I don't think it's had like a full on reissue, but I'm pretty sure. And I know you're a vinyl collector as well. You can find it on vinyl for, I guess, a reasonable price. I mean, you would know in terms of, or is it like overpriced? You think? if you've looked at it.
I think it's at a reasonable price. Yeah, surprisingly, it's not really one that I have in my collection, and I haven't really sought out to buy it either.
Hmm.
I think I'm pretty content with just having the CDs and the cassette. Um, like a lot of my albums in the collection are a lot, is for mixing pretty much and scratching
Okay.
records too. So
All right.
yeah,
All right. Right
not so
on.
much.
All right. Cool. Cool. All right. So we get into recommendations. If you like this album, and a lot of people do consider this a top album from 1996. So I'll go with some other top albums from '96 that I came up with. Nas, It Was Written, Outkast, ATLiens, and Tupac's All Eyes on Me. So those were three recommendations I came up with. Anything you wanted to add or add to the list, Ray, or any other recommendations you may have?
Off the top, no, I would agree though with It Was Written.
Hmm.
Nas's album right there, his second album was pretty much lined up with that whole at the time the whole mafioso style rap. It Was Written kind of the album embodies that style at the time.
All right, yeah,
At the time Nas was going by Nas Escobar, kind of the Pablo Escobar reference. So
yeah.
yeah, it was just a time a period in New York where I guess some of the rappers were just kind of carrying that mafioso theme to their
Well,
albums.
they had to counter the West somehow with the with the gangster rap
Yeah,
going on over there.
that's
So,
true. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah,
so I mean, if they had to go with the New York mafia life, I mean, I guess that's what they're having to go with. So,
yeah. A lot of the mobsters were out there in New York, so it kind of makes sense too why they would choose that.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, before we close this episode, do you have any final thoughts? I have a few, but I'll let you go first.
My final thoughts are for anyone that hasn't really got into Jay Z. I would recommend this album to be the footstone, the foundation to this artist because this is hands down, in my opinion, his best album. I mean, it's debatable.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure a lot of people would defer, but I think this one's a classic. Every single song on there, the production to it is classic. DJ Ski Beats, he did a good job at quite a few of the songs. Clark Kent, Premier,
yeah.
it's a good one in my opinion.
I don't know if it's his best album. I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I mean, this is great. Don't get me wrong, but I like the Black Album better. But I'd have to
The
listen to the
Black Album,
Blueprint,
yeah,
and definitely through definitely his first few albums before the Blueprint, also Volume One, Volume Two, Volume Three, all those.
yeah.
To really get a sense of is this his best work. But I mean, for me, I mean, at least the Black Album, I like better. So that definitely is debatable, and
I
that's
agree too. Yeah, the Black Album was definitely parallel to Reasonable Doubt.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it definitely
Pharrell,
was. I mean, not that many tracks compared to some of his other albums, and just
yeah, when the Neptunes produced Allure on the Black Album,
mm,
Pharrell even said, he admired the sample production for Dead Presidents,
mm,
and that he wanted to get at the time. Jay Z was supposed to retire, and the Black Album was supposed to be his last album.
yeah, I was supposed yeah,
So Pharrell was trying to get his in on the last album, what everyone thought. So he was like, what, I got to come correct. This is Jay Z's last album. I got to do it right. So the Neptunes produced Allure, and that one's like one of my favorite songs on the Black Album. And
yeah.
yeah, so I feel like it runs parallel to Reasonable Doubt in my book.
Okay,
Yeah, they're like
okay,
right there.
okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And that's why we have these. And that's why we call it listen in 3D. Dissect,
Yeah,
discuss, dissect, debate.
yeah.
Trying to get a little more debate on this show. Just all right. Anyway, for Ray, aka Vandal Society, this is Justin. Too tall for you, fool. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see
Yes.
you all on the next one. Later. Peace out.
Have a good one.